Cabarrus County has been experiencing a severe agricultural drought. In addition, our surface water and groundwater flow has been greatly reduced the last couple of months. Hi, I'm David Goforth with Cooperative Extension Successful Gardener. Today I want to document a few of the effects of the drought and also talk about how it's impacting things in your lawn and in your garden. We're starting off here today at Rocky River, near where it flows out of the county. At this point, the farmer's estimating that we're about 1/4 of the amount of flow. We've got some official measurements on down the river where they're documenting about 1/6 of the normal flow. At this point, Rocky River's picked up 4 major tributaries out of Cabarrus County. It's picked up Cottle Creek, Irish Buffalo Creek, Coldwater Creek, and Dutch Buffalo Creek. The first 3 are flowing, but at this time, Dutch Buffalo Creek has ceased. Let's go take a look at Dutch Buffalo Creek. This is Dutch Buffalo Creek about 3 miles up before it runs into Rocky River. And as you can see, this is totally dry here on the surface. There's still a little bit of subsurface drainage, but surface water has ceased to flow in this particular section of the stream here. I've had some of the local people tell me this is the first time they've ever known it to stop flowing down here. I don't really know the history of this stream that well, but it does flow from Rowan County all the way, it wraps around Mount Pleasant by the time it gets here, and it is a fairly large stream with a fairly large drainage area. It goes through an area where the soil's a little bit shallower than it is some of the other streams, plus it's been a little bit drier in this part of the county, but at this point it's totally quit flowing. One thing I've observed on a creek like this is that where you've got some of these side valleys coming into it, even though the side valley's been dry for 2 or 3 months now, there's still a little bit of subsurface drainage, and you'll find that the wildlife sort of congregates around those holes because they're a little bit cleaner than this water in some of these deep holes that looks real nasty by this time. Let's go on up to the very headwaters and look at some of the springs that may still be flowing up in that area. When you get on up into the very headwaters of these streams, you'll find some streams are still moving just a little bit. This stream right here, this water that's flowing on the surface here, just a few minutes ago, literally it was underneath the ground as groundwater, and here it's changing over to surface water and going on downstream. Based on the flow here, what I normally see is these things will go, and then when they start shutting off like this one has, within another 7 to 14 days, this stream will be dry here up in the very upland areas. I've only know about 3 of these streams that are still running. There's more, I'm sure, that I'm not aware of, but when they are running up here, still you can go on downstream and the stream can be dry farther downstream. This area right here, I'm not sure exactly what makes the difference between this area and a neighboring hollow that dried up at least 2 months ago. I've looked at the soil maps, I've looked at the topo maps, and best I can tell, there's not a real difference in the original amount of water that was here in the aquifer. It's just this water is able to get out on the surface a little bit better than some of the neighboring water, which stays there available for our wells. So the groundwater in this area is still about 2/3 of the groundwater is here, and it'll continue to move out in this stream, and even when the stream dries up, it'll continue to move underneath the ground in this area right here, moving on downstream. Let's look at a few of the plants and the way they've responded to this drought. Here on this site right here, we've got maybe 5, 10 dead pines, and on a pine tree, and I think this holds true for every narrow leaf conifer that we have out there, once they turn brown like this, there's no hope for the plant. You might as well take it out. On deciduous trees, though, it's a different story. Let's look at a couple of deciduous trees here. In this area, we've had a lot of hickory trees turn brown. And when they turn brown like this, I think we're going to get some dieback, although that bud still feels pretty live right there. So we'll just have to see on this one. What I would suggest on any deciduous tree like this is to wait until spring before we start doing any pruning back or cutting back or any taking out on it. Just wait till spring, see what comes back. Now that I'm looking close at this, I feel fairly certain that this particular one will come back. I've seen some other ones though where there's been about 1 inch or 2 of mortality on the ends of the limbs, but the insides are still green here, and they should still come back from the insides. Here we've got a southern sugar maple that has turned brown instead of turning the normal fall color, and it's got some dead limbs on it, but I feel certain that somewhere back in the tree this one will come out. And again, with the poplars, the sycamores, the sweet gums, elms, all of these may have some dead limbs, but the tree should still be alive, and it's really the best to wait till next spring when the new leaves come out before you start evaluating something like this. Here we're looking at grass. This is the same spot we took a picture of in mid-August when we'd had about 3 weeks of drought. After that, we went 2 more weeks. We had a ½ inch of rain, and then we went 5 more weeks, and we had another ½ inch of rain, or inch of rain. So basically, it's about every 5 weeks and a little bit of irrigation or a little bit of rain on this right here. You can see the fescue is still alive right here. The fescue, what I've seen is, or what I've been observing, the fescue that had more fertilizer is more likely to have died. The fescue that was in full sun all day long is more likely to have died. This has got about an hour's worth of shade in the very late evening. And the other thing is the more competition, the more different types of grasses around. There's some Bermuda grass and stuff in here, and Dallas grass, and a lot of times I saw mortality higher in areas that had more competition. But you can still have fescue alive here. Again, a ½ inch of rain every 5 weeks in this case was enough to keep this alive. We say a ½ inch of rain every 4 weeks will keep most of your fescue alive. The other grasses we've got here, the Bermuda grass, you can see how it is drought damaged, but yet it's still alive. And the Dallas grass has done very well. There's only been one place that I've had any Dallas grass. Now, most people consider Dallas grass to be a weed. I have landscapers ask me all the time how to control Dallas grass. But the Dallas grass has done very well during the drought. And you can see here, this has popped back. Now, just 4 days ago, this would have been crunchy right here. But the grass was still creating new cells and everything. And once we got a inch of rain, which the inch of rain only happened 2 or 3 days ago, we got that inch of rain and suddenly boom, the grass has turned back green in this area right here. So it doesn't take a lot of water to keep grass alive. This grass has survived any drought that we've had here in the last 20 years with no additional irrigation. So these grasses are very tough and they can tolerate that. I have people asking me about aerating, and I would say we're too late in the game to aerate this year. I would not aerate. I would wait till next year to aerate. People asked about fertilizer. I wouldn't put fertilizer down this year. I'd wait till February, look at the weather conditions in February. I think we're a little bit too late to overseed this year. Who knows what the future temperatures are going to be like, but likely we're going to get too cold to overseed here, so I wouldn't overseed at this time. I would wait till next February and possibly overseed February, March, April time frame if conditions are right, and try to get some grass to fill in places like that. And the other thing is people ask me when it's real thin like this, what about winter weeds, if winter weeds pop up? And there's a couple of thoughts on that. One would be if you get something green here, just mow it and enjoy it. The other thing is if you're going to try to overseed in the spring, though, the weeds may be a little bit too competitive and you may want to kill them out at that time. I don't think it's going to hurt this grass here to have a herbicide application over it in the spring of the year when the winter weeds pop up a little bit more. So I just sort of play that one by ear. But most of the things that we would have done during the fall of the year, we've had to delay them because of the drought. If you have any other questions about the drought, don't hesitate to give me a call, or about growing grass or about things to do in your lawn, give me a call. And until next time, plan and plant for a better world.